Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 32 of Into the Necrosphere. I am your host, Jackie Smith, and joining me on today's show is going to be Charles Elliott, who's the vocalist, guitarist, and founder of Abysmal Dawn out of LA. They've just put out a new record called Phylogenesis on Season of Mist, and probably the best way to describe that album, if you haven't heard it yet, is brutal death metal for anybody that decided that they were going to give the new Nile a skip because they don't listen to pussy shit. But Charles was a great guy. We had a really fun conversation, and that is going to be coming your way in just a few minutes. Also, do stick around after the show because we're going to be doing some reviews, talking today about the New Testament as well as the new Sinistral Kingdom. And I will also read some news and talk some shit. So lots for you to hopefully get excited about. And speaking of which, hopefully you'll also be excited about the lineup of guests that I have in the pipeline. So over the next couple of weeks, I will drop episodes with Lee Wollenschlager of Unblessed Divine, formerly of Malevolent Creation. I have got an interview recorded with the two young bucks that make up Omega Infinity. Omega Infinity's new record, Solar Spectre, I reviewed a couple of episodes ago. And I would like to stress again that if you have yet to listen to that masterpiece, you need to fucking get your act together. I am also recording this week interviews with Damien from Broken Hope and Katie Irizarry, better known as Merciful Kate. I actually didn't realize that she's kind of a big deal when I asked her to be on the podcast. But it turns out she's more than just Katie from Season of Mist, which is, I think, how I introduced her a couple of episodes ago. But she is the co-host of the We Are the Pit podcast, and she is also the producer on Eddie Trunk's show. And obviously, as I mentioned, she does publicity for Season of Mist in the US. And I also do want to give a shout out. I know I talk about Season of Mist an awful lot, but part of the reason why I do that is because the people that work for them are so easy to deal with and so professional and just absolutely at the top of their game. And, if for a podcast like this where, I don't do this for money. I don't do this because I, plan on becoming a metal YouTube influencer. It is purely for the love of doing it and for the love of the devil's music. So to deal with people that come back to you immediately, that are always helpful, that are always willing to try and set up something for you if they can, it just makes my life easier and it makes it more fun to do the show. So Letitia, Jessica, Katie, you guys are absolutely awesome, and I am more than happy to have any of you on the show at any time. Anyways, I think that is pretty much it. Just a reminder, if you have not yet done so, please do hit the subscribe button on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever else you stream podcasts from. And that way that you can have a fresh new episode downloaded to your mobile device as soon as it comes out, which tends to be every Tuesday. I know I skipped a week last week, but I had my daughter over for the first time since the lockdown began here in the UK. And unfortunately, she takes priority even over matters related to metal. If you've not yet started following us on or started following the show on social media, it is on Twitter at iNecrosphere. And on Instagram and Facebook at Into the Necrosphere. And I post a whole bunch of stuff on there, including music I'm listening to at the time, and various other bits and bobs. And I've met some very cool people on there. I might do a shout out of some names at some point, but if you have sent me messages or you have interacted with any of the posts that I put up, I really appreciate the support, and I really appreciate you taking the time to check out the podcast if you're listening to it right now. Like I said on the previous episode, I seem to discover probably a new metal podcast every other day, and a lot of them are very, very good. Including my friend Mike Hill's podcasts, Metal Matters and Everything Went Black. So if you've decided to devote an hour or 2 hours of your time to listening to me blather on, then, that's not something that I take lightly, and it definitely motivates me to try and put out the best show that I possibly can. So on that very soppy and sentimental bombshell, please join me in welcoming to the show Charles Elliott of Abysmal Dawn. First things first, I know you probably get asked this on every other interview, but how's things going just with you as far as the lockdown is concerned? You're based in LA, right?
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles. It's okay, man. I mean, right now I'm just working from home.
Yeah.
I got a day job. I mean, things aren't ideal there, you know. Everyone's worried about like what's going to happen in the next couple months and all that. And yeah, I mean, as far as what I'm doing, I mean, as far as the band, I mean, that's frustrating because we just put out a record and, you know, we're not able to tour, not able to really promote it other than, you know, doing interviews and stuff like that. And for a band like us who's like heavily reliant on tours, you know, we've never been like huge like social media people, I guess. That's a big like adjustment for us. So yeah, I mean, we're trying to think of other things to do that we can promote our record, you know, right now. But yeah, it's like we never had to be that, like, I don't know, Instagram and YouTube, so like, you know, superstars and shit, you know, just like, yeah, it's just this weird thing. So just figuring out what you're comfortable doing in that world, I guess, is, you know, an adjustment for us. But
yeah. I know that you were on Mike Hill of Toombs' podcast. I listened to the episode about a week ago, I think. And I don't know whether you saw Toombs did that I think is a Zoom playthrough where, you know, all four guys are busy doing the song and, like, you know, doing it live, but obviously playing from different locations. I was about to say that's something that you guys could do, but your music is so technical. I think it'll be fucking next to impossible to get the timing right.
I mean, we've had people offer to have us do like those concerts or whatever. Like, I don't know. I need to like look at like how that's possible and like where we would do it. And I just don't want to do something shitty, man. Like just to do it, you know, like, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a possibility at some point, but I don't know. I just feel like weird playing to no crowd, you know, like we're always been big on, like feeding off the audience's energy and stuff. And like with no audience, it's like, I feel like,
well, it's like these empty arena shows that they're doing, that the WWE are doing at the moment. You see the guys like come out and still cut their promos and talk their shit, but there's no one there to respond to it. It just feels so weird. It's like, firstly, it highlights the fact that it's all a work and it's fake. But secondly, it just feels bizarre. It's going to be like if you do one of these, it's like, you know, sitting in your bedroom headbanging whilst you know, somebody else is playing drums in at their house.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Yeah. And I don't know if everyone has the best internet connection to make that work.
No. You know? It's like halfway through a riff. Oh shit, we've lost the drummer.
Yeah, we gotta upgrade our Wi-Fi before we shit like that.
But I know LA is like in the middle of a heat wave, and South LA had a earthquake a couple of days ago. So like, how stringent are or is the lockdown protocol over there? Like, can you guys at least leave the house and go buy food? And, you know, how rough has it gotten over there?
No, you can go out and buy food. You have to wear a mask, and they won't let you into like a grocery store or anything unless you have like a mask on. I walk around in my neighborhood. I wear a mask most of the time. Definitely whenever I go into the grocery store, you know, sanitize my hands and all that stuff. You know, there's like lines and to wait to get into a grocery store, and certain stores have like limits on what you can purchase, you know. So there's not a shortage. Still really hard to get like paper products and you know, sanitizing items and stuff like that, like soaps and stuff like that. I had a friend that brought me like a bunch of masks and like rubber gloves, and I like at the start of this whole thing, I'm like, dude, you're fucking insane. Like fucking like then like, but then like later, of course, I got to use that shit. So, um, yeah, I don't know. It's been odd. And then like I didn't realize I had so much hand sanitizer like lying around, and apparently it's like worth gold. You know, like I got like a gag gift.
It's literally worth, or for a little while, it was worth more than oil.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had like I went to like a party like around the Christmas like holidays or whatever, and there was like I got like a gag gift that was like hand sanitizer. It said maybe you touched your balls on it. Now it's like $1 million. I'm like, fuck yeah, scored. You guys were laughing then, but fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was like, when you were saying about your friend bringing you the stuff, it's like did he come with a trench coat and open it up and say, I've got some 2-ply,
No, actually it was
hand sanitizer.
Yeah, no, but he did have like his mask on. So he came the other day. It was funny because my friend Mike Bear, who also helped produce the album and like not and he's produced like our last 2 records, right? Prior to this one. But he lives like not far from me, and he like showed up. I was like, hey man, if you want to break quarantine, I got like your copies of the album. I got a vinyl for you, cassette and CD, whatever you want. He's like, yeah, sure. And he shows up, and he's got like the mask on and like the rubber gloves and everything. And I don't know. I mean, I don't take it to that extreme. I don't know. Maybe I should. I probably should. Should probably take it way more serious. Maybe I should be afraid. I don't know.
Over here, they encourage people to wear masks, but it's not it's not a requirement yet. And the thing that I find the fucking dumbest is when you see somebody walking down the street with their mask on and they pull it all the way down and they smoke a cigarette. It's like it's just like the biggest contradiction that you could possibly see. But yeah, I think comparative to other countries, the UK has been relatively. They've been relatively calm. Like I'm from South Africa originally, and apparently people over there are getting beaten up for drinking a beer out in their front garden. They've stopped. You can't buy cigarettes. You can't buy booze. Nothing. They even stopped the export of wine because they said that the cars or the lorries are going to be hijacked, and people are going to steal and bootleg the alcohol. So, yeah, like I said, things could get worse.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen like fights or any rioting. I mean, I'm staying inside most of the time. Luckily, I have a local market that is pretty easy. Like the big grocery stores, like those are you got to wait in line, and they only allow a certain amount of people at a time. Yeah. My local market, they've been like cool staying open and supporting like the local community, and that's go get little stuff from them all the time. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could be a lot worse for sure. I don't know. I mean, we got people protesting and shit like that. Like, but I don't know. It's all kind of silly, but whatever.
Did they say there was going to be a drive-through protest at LA City Hall? I think it was either going to be a couple of days ago, or they're going to arrange it. And I was thinking to myself, what would that look like? Is everybody like pulling up to the entrance, like, hey, fuck you, and like whoosh, window back up again?
I have no idea. I haven't heard anything about that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I'm like so busy with stuff I gotta do. The interviews or stuff for the band, or just like day job and this shit I want to accomplish. And like, I'm kind of bad with staying up on current events, but it's kind of like thrown in your face. I wake up to like email or news alerts every morning about like however the world's falling apart, and like, so I know it's bad, and I know it's, a democracy is built on its citizens like paying attention. So yeah, I know I could do better, but yeah, it is getting overwhelming. It's like comical, like how how crazy things get, and you're just kind
Yeah.
of like, all right, it's almost like they wore us out, so like now they can just do whatever they want.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, and for me, it just gets tedious, man. Eventually, I don't want to hear the same old bullshit every single day. Like, oh, there's now 100 people dead, or there's now 7,000 more cases. The economy sucks. Blah blah. It's the same story every single day, and you can agree or disagree with how governments are managing it. I have my own views on that. I think personally I don't think it was thought through. But then again, it wasn't expected either. So I do feel for the politicians that made the decisions. I think if it affected them personally the way that it does the average person, I think the thinking would probably have been quite significantly different.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, people don't always have everyone's best interest.
Yeah, it's very easy to make decisions when you're going to be like what the governments have basically done is they've driven a truck through your living room and they've gone, right, I know I fucked up everything and your TV smashed and the walls coming down and stuff like that. I'll fix it for you. Just hand over your wallet. That's exactly what that's what the vast majority of governments have done with this whole situation. And I don't know if I would have joined the lockdown protests either. I get that people need to be careful, but at the same time, I think taking extreme measures like this and plunging the world into fucking economic darkness for however long it's going to take to get out from under this thing. I don't know if the price was too steep, but time will tell.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people like compare it to the flu or something, or like people die. It's killed more. The flu kills more people every year or something. But also, it's like, yeah, but this shit just fucking started. What are you talking about?
True. That's very true.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, at first, I think it needed to like hit home for a couple people. I think you need to know like someone that had it, or or like a friend of a friend or something to take it more seriously. Because I think when it first happened, like we were on tour, it was breaking out, and we're like, yeah, whatever, because like this type of shit happens like all the time, or you hear about it like something in the news is like trying to scare you, or whether it's SARS, whether it's fucking I don't know, mad cow disease, or the killer bees, Africanized killer bees, or whatever it was in like the 80s. I'm trying to think of what's the other one? Swine flu.
I was about to say, you guys must surely have been touring during either SARS or Ebola or H1N1.
The swine flu, we were on tour. I remember that, and I remember. Like everyone on tour, whenever they got sick, they said they got it. I was like, shut the fuck up, man. You got the tour AIDS. That's how it goes. Everyone gets sick when you're on tour.
Yeah.
I mean, I got like pneumonia on that tour, but it wasn't like swine flu. But yeah, man. I just I don't know. So like we were on tour for this album. We did a tour with Vader, Hideous Divinity, and Vitriol, like in North America, and we started hearing about like all the cases and how it was spreading. And Hideous Divinity is from Italy, so they were like, as soon as the tour was going or done, they were like going back home to like a bunch of bullshit. So, but like for us, I don't know, we just weren't like taking it too seriously. We got off tour, and then like a week later, things started to shut down, or, we're like, oh shit, this is serious, but we're kind of like, what is this going to do to the economy? Like, how seriously should we take this? As musicians, and like just being involved in the music industry in general, like this has been like an industry that's been like kind of like teetering on the brink for years, like as far as like ruin, and like something like this comes around and torpedoes like one of the last ways you can make money and as a musician, or through touring, because people don't like buy records as much as they used to. But I don't know, like you're seeing like people like stream more, and you're seeing people buy directly from the bands and record companies a little bit more, which is really good. But I don't know. I think we started taking it a little bit more seriously when we started seeing like, I don't know, guys from like Death Angel and Testament and stuff like that, and like people that we kind of like know, like get it,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, I immediately started taking it seriously as soon as Chuck Billy got ill. I was like,
Right?
if the world loses one, if there's one rock star the world can't lose yet, it's Chuck Billy.
Right?
He needs to stay well and get healthy.
Yeah, totally.
But you kind of mentioned the business model in the music industry, and especially in metal. I mean, it's you guys, you make a record, you go on tour, and the touring is what sustains the band. It's not really music sales. Do you see, like, obviously, I mean, this is without a doubt going to change the business model again almost entirely. And do you see that change? Like, I guess, how do you see that play out? Where do you think the industry goes from here? Because, like, most festivals have been cancelled for this year. Hopefully they kind of pick up again next year. But there's every chance that there may be orders in place to limit the number of people that can gather, all of that sort of stuff. So, from your perspective, what do you think could potentially be happening as far as the music industry is concerned over, say, the next year, 2 years, and how does that affect someone like you?
Well, I mean, I see a lot of stores closing, like retail outlets. So people are going to have to, again, like buy directly from the labels, assuming that labels come out of this alive. And there's also like, I don't know, like as far as venues, I see like a lot of promoters going out of business, like the ground level promoters, things like Live Nation and shit like that. Probably, sticking around. Venues, smaller venues going out of business. But again, like maybe like the larger corporations that have, these places sticking around. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be crazy. Like once the tour market opens up again, because everyone's going to want to tour at the same time.
Yeah.
It might be overkill, and either fans will come out for it, or maybe still like adjusting, trying to get back to some sort of normalcy. And I don't know. Yeah, and like I know, like from a booking agent perspective, it's going to be harder on them because it's harder to get their holds or whatever at venues and get their bands in there, to tour. If everyone wants to hit the road at the same time, and if there's less promoters and all that, so it's going to be a huge adjustment. And like I don't see like maybe like I don't even see like when everyone wants to go back on the road, like everyone being able to do it even,
Yeah.
It's gonna be too much competition or not enough promoters and venues left. So that's scary, man. Like I'm hoping people continue to support the bands and stuff that they love by actually buying the music, and streaming's cool and all, but it doesn't equate to much,
Yeah.
I think,
I saw something the other day actually with the official stats as far as like streaming and how much you actually need to stream to make any sort of money, and it was astronomical because I would assume as well in that equation, somebody who buys the album off you on Bandcamp is helping you a hell of a lot more than they are streaming it 50 times on Spotify.
Right. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's just set up this model like a while ago of of downloads are okay, like illegally downloading, and people expect it for free, and people that pay for streaming services, like that's great, I appreciate that, but now like streaming services need to like step it up and like pay the bands, because like it's so weird that like they're just this. I don't know. They control or everyone, like we provide the content, like the record labels and the bands, and then what are these like? The streaming services just put it up and like they pay you shit.
A
They
blood
just have the
cycle
monopoly.
making money off of your hard work. With this, so this was interesting. So Amazon, streaming on Amazon, you have to have, in order to, this is in British pounds. So in order to earn £1 you have to do 111 streams on Amazon, 143 on Tidal, and then it goes all the way to on Spotify 357. On Pandora 625, and on YouTube 833. So, which is, I mean, basically it means, in order to earn minimum wage in the UK, obviously your best bet is Amazon, and you have to have 970 streams of your song in order to earn an hour's minimum wage.
Right.
Which is fucking insane, especially when you think that's split across, say, 4 or 5 band members.
Yeah, no, it's not sustainable, like it's, I don't know. It's hard, especially for like a band like us and from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason, like I've had like a bunch of member changes because there's no money in it really. I mean, there is from touring, but, yeah, but other than that, it's like not really. And you just do it for the love of it, and like you got to do something else on the side, or else I don't know. It's just kind of how it is, man.
I was going to ask you, like, have you seen, since streaming became more prolific, did you see an increase in money that you made off of touring? So, the benefit that some people argue is that, streaming, allows people to discover far more bands. And so therefore they get into more different types of music, and they'll, by extension, therefore, be more inclined to support different bands live. Did you see the crowds increase, or the money that you were making from touring increase as a result of streaming, or did that kind of stay relatively flat?
It's tough to like quantify the impact that streaming has had on us, because I mean, naturally we've grown throughout the years, so I can't really say it's for one thing or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably helped. I mean, in some, at least have fans in other parts of the world where we don't tour, people hear about us and are able to like check us out by like, a Spotify or Apple Music, like recommending, so I mean, that's one thing that's good about streaming, but it also like, people, there's so many bands, and it's so much like content, and like you have so much at the tip of your fingers. It's hard, like people kind of listen and then move on, I think, to a certain extent, unless you get out there and you see a band and you connect with the band, and I still think like touring is really important in that aspect. But yeah, I mean, rather than like, you're hearing a song and you add it to your playlist and you just kind of move on. But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, we definitely have grown over the years. That's probably had something to do with it, but it's tough to gauge. I mean, and same with, I would say that like when in the download age too, like when people were just downloading everything for free, putting it up on torrents and stuff like that. But so I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Yeah. No, but as you say, it's hard with you guys, because in a weird way, you guys started and came in right around the download era, and then you sort of, you grew and became more prolific as a band, as streaming became more, more of something that could be commoditized. But I get the impression that there is at least from my observation, there's a lot more hype around phylogenesis than there was around obsolescence. Not to say that there wasn't, any hype around obsolescence, but I feel like there's more attention on Abysmal Dawn this time around. And I don't know whether that was something that that you would agree with from your, the way that you're experiencing it. or what your thoughts have been around how the album has been received so far.
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's more hype.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I mean, I like to think it's just because we put out a really fucking good record. I mean, I think it's our best album. I feel like everyone that's heard it thinks it's our best album. I feel like we've grown as a band, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it feels like being on Season of Mist, there's a stronger presence in Europe for us. Like I see a lot more like news shared by European websites and like tagging us on social media or and stuff like that. So and fans really seem like really excited, and maybe the fact that we don't put out a record like all the time. We've gone away for a bit, and now we're back, and that you feel like we didn't spoil them, basically. Like we starved them a little, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, I think it definitely seems like more hype around this record.
I definitely say, from one of the things I was thinking about, and the thought occurred to me today actually, was I think Season of Mist have been so solid and consistent in terms of the quality of the bands they've signed over the last couple of years and the releases they've put out. I think some bands, and I would put you guys in that category, and Tombs, and maybe a couple of others, have probably benefited from the fact that being associated with them, they've built up this reputation to a point where, for me, I kind of liken them to the way Roadrunner was in the early 90s. Back if a Roadrunner, if Roadrunner put out a record in 1990 or 1991, generally speaking, you would want to hear it, because invariably it was going to be Obituary, or it was going to be Deicide or something like that. There were certain labels, and Relapse was like that for a period of time as well, where as soon as when that label puts something out, you're automatically interested. You might not be entirely sold on it, but you at least want to hear what it sounds like. I feel like Season of Mist are one of the few labels right now, with the exception of maybe one or two other smaller independents, where I kind of get that sense now as well. I feel like they've really, really hit their straps in terms of quality control and just how they are sussing out and signing the right bands and the right talent.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have like a good ear for stuff, and like they're fans of metal,
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know. They're not just looking for the next big thing, or what I mean. They just kind of like put out stuff that they like, and I hope it sticks. And yeah, or promote it. Obviously, not just like throwing it against the wall and hoping it sticks. But yeah, I guess I agree. I like them. I also really like stuff off like $20 Spin. I've been following stuff that they've been putting out. But yeah, I don't know. Yes, I agree with you.
How did the conversation with, or I guess, how did the deal with Season of Mist come about? Because you guys signed that all the way back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I think it was 2017. Yeah. Well, I guess we were at the end of our deal with Relapse. And I don't know. We just like started looking around for other places. It seemed like Relapse, to be honest, didn't seem very interested in us anymore, or want to continue or something. I think we mentioned it at one point and said, like, oh yeah, we'll talk about it. And then I was like, all right, well, I started talking to other labels, and then, there was a couple other offers on the table, and Season of Mist, they, one of the guys that works there, he actually used to work at Relapse a long time ago, and he was the one that signed us to Relapse back in the day. So he's always, we just knew him. We had, working relationship with him here in the US, and yeah, just comfortable with him, and the offer we got was really good, and we spoke, and like we liked the owner, Michael, a lot. Like they just seem like real people, like not like, I don't know, giving you some business fucking answer when you ask them
Yeah.
questions. Like, just appreciate like people that like are straight up and shoot from the hip. Like, cause I'm a no bullshit type guy too, So, um, I just really appreciated that. And Michael's like that. And, yeah. And just people on the label seem like they actually were into the band.
Yeah.
We got the sense that, I don't know, we're just always like kind of odd man out, I feel like, on Relapse. And I appreciate everything they did for us, but I'm not sure they really liked us, I guess, I mean, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's a business, but yeah, I don't know. Just didn't seem like right, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, I guess that's about all I'll say.
Yeah.
And also, Season of Mist has a better European setup in my eyes. I mean, we always kind of struggled with the European market. We did one tour there in 2015 on a Death to All tour, and that really kind of opened my eyes about to where we stand in the European market, because we could see like the places of Relapse had like better like distribution, like where people like knew about us, and then a lot of the places were like, people are like, who the fuck are these guys? I mean, killer, but yeah, they're like, oh, this never heard of us before or whatever. So,
Remind me who was on that Death to All tour with you?
Loud Blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think one of the things I've noticed in Europe, especially when it comes to death metal crowds, the crowds for a lot of death metal bands over here are starting to get quite a lot older, and they many of them tend to prefer, rather than kind of the sort of ultra brutal, fast, ferocious style of death metal. There's kind of a preference for more of that sort of European death metal, where the song structures are maybe a little bit more traditional. It's more, it's kind of almost more rooted in rock, kind of like latter day Hypocrisy, I would say. There seems to be a real I'd say the majority of the audience, from my observation, the older audience especially seems to prefer that. But I mean, I do think it's changing as well. I think bands like Dying Fetus and stuff coming here, putting on great shows. I think that helps it too. But I'm definitely noticing crowds getting older over here when it comes to certain genres of music, and black metal is definitely one of them. Not black metal, sorry, death metal is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that tour, there's a lot of people that saw Death back in the day that was an older crowd that came out. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that had it factored in, as far as how like reception or whatever. And it wasn't bad by any means. It just seemed like, that, and we're also like used to the U.S. audiences too, and how they react to us. And I don't know, there were certain places like the UK, Belgium, Poland, those felt like more like U.S. audiences.
Yeah.
But I've also heard that too, that like crowds in Europe aren't as into like the moshing thing or as much audience participation as that we are used to, I guess, in the U.S. But
it never used to be like that either. I remember seeing shows in 2002 and 2003 where it was, I mean, fucking brutal. I was talking to a friend of mine a couple of episodes ago about a Biohazard show that we went to in 2002, and it was I counted and literally remember seeing at least 8 people stretch it off the floor, as in paramedics running in, putting them on a stretch and dragging them out. I mean, it was fucking mayhem. And it's just, it seems to me like the younger generation has gotten unbelievably soft, or the older guys have developed, I don't know, sore backs, just all sorts of old age aches and pains. And people just don't go as nuts at shows as they used to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, metal is a little bit more of a acceptable genre now. I
Yeah.
feel, um, well, at least I guess I'm talking more about like specifically like the death metal scene, and I think like, when this music probably like first came out, it attracted a lot of like outliers or whatever. There's people just like ready to rage and like put that energy like into action like at the shows,
Yeah.
and just like really be more violent. Like there's more
Oh yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and then not just have fun, but like just people that came just that want to like fuck each other up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like I don't know. There's been shows like I don't know, like it's like the deicide show where people like throwing trash cans around and like in their 90s. I don't know, but then like you know people it started to become like a little bit more mainstream in a way.
Yeah.
Like in the 2000s, I think when there was the whole metalcore thing that was big, and then there was like when there was like little girls or whatever into it that were wearing like metalcore shirts, like from Hot Topic and
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
all that, like when it was more acceptable for like kids and like it wasn't just a bunch of like sweaty dudes at the shows, then it became like I guess a little bit more, I don't know, like acceptable and chill in
Yeah.
a way. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like I remember even I was at the final Slayer show that they did here in Wembley, and I mean this is like the last time ever that Slayer is going to play in the UK. I don't think there was really much of a bit. There was one guy that tried to pick a fight with me, but I mean that was for different reasons altogether. But it was no one was really pitting. People were headbanging. They were loud, but like the first time I ever saw Slayer, you couldn't hear the band for the first 2 or 3 songs. I mean, the crowd was so noisy and there was so much chaos on the floor.
Yeah,
You could barely hear the music for the first 2 or 3 songs.
yeah,
So yeah, it's definitely. My friend made a very good point, and I actually agree with him. I think I think when he said it, I was like, "Fuck, man, that was like a moment of clarity where I was like, I think you've hit the nail on the head." He said because people no longer have to pay for music, they're not as invested in it as they once were.
yeah.
So
There's a lot of casual fans.
yeah, so they treat it like more of a commodity. Like probably when you and I were younger, we lived that shit. If
Yeah,
like if Deicide, like you being a fan of Deicide or you being a fan of Morbid Angel or Obituary or Pantera or Slayer or whatever it was, I mean that was like part of your not just like your personality, but that's like those the documentaries where it's like it's not music, it's a way of life. You really took it seriously. So when the
yeah,
band played, you went fucking nuts because you were so by that point you were so fired up and excited to see your heroes. It was very different to now. Like I mean, even now, I remember when I was much younger. It was like a real thrill just seeing a live clip on MTV of a band that you liked because you
yeah,
knew there's a chance I might never get to see this in person. So, Jesus, it's fucking incredible. There's Emperor live or, there's Slayer live or whatever the case may be. Now you can see anything you want on YouTube. If I want to
right.
see a band, if I want to see what a band is like live, I, can literally just go on YouTube right now and I can see it.
Yes,
5, 6 different shows that they've done.
right. Yeah. Like when you were younger, probably in our generation, I'm 37.
I'm
So
40.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but like you grew up probably having to like find bands,
Yeah.
like search them out, and that's what I remember too. Is that like reading all the like the zines or magazines and stuff, and there was like that was like the beginning of the internet too. I find some stuff here and there, but like it wasn't so many like websites or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you took it a little more personally, I think, when you had to like find these things out, and it was more, and it was kind of selfish sometimes when you were like, you find a band, you're like, this is
Yeah.
my band, like no one knows about it.
I was literally just about to say you don't want to share it with anybody because
Yeah,
I don't want you listening to this and
yeah,
besmirching it for me. Like I remember when I got Ceremony of Opposites by Samael, I was like that because nobody knew about the band. I only ever ordered the CD from Nuclear Blast because I'd read an interview, not interview, sorry, I'd read a review in a copy of Metal Maniacs, and they were like, "This is fucking brilliant, one of the best black metal albums ever." And I was like, "All right, without having, the faintest clue of what it sounds like, I'm just going to buy a copy." And as soon as I heard, it's like, "It's fucking incredible." And then everyone's like, "Oh, can I get a copy? Can I get a copy?" He's like, "No." So it's like, what do I get in trade? I got I got some cool stuff because of it. Guy did he did a tape for me with Immortal and Brutal Truth on the other side. So you kind of I think the tape trading thing also made it that much more exciting.
Yeah.
I often I've got a daughter who's she's 5, she's about to turn 6, and she's very good when it comes to discovering music, and there's certain things that she likes, and she'll say like, "I really like this, Daddy," or whatever. But I do sometimes, I'm sad about the fact that she's never going to know how exciting it was to discover to get a tape and there's a band on there that some dude just thought you might like. You don't know whatsoever, and you put it in, and you're just like, "Fuck, incredible!" It's like someone gave me Legion that way, and I'll never forget hearing it. Like, you're terrified when you hear the goats bleating in the beginning, and then but the more you listen to it, the more you just want to keep repeating it.
Yeah. What was it? Can't remember. I bought some like Entomb stuff through mail order that was like really hard to get at the time, I think, from Earache. And they sent me like a copy. They like fucked up my order and like took forever, like, and sent me like a free copy of like Slaughter the Soul on like cassette. And I was like, remember being so stoked on that and just like listening to that so much. And I remember when I bought it on CD, I think I gave my cassette away to someone, and the cassette had like the bonus track on it. Like, one of the bonus tracks was like the cover Legion song. They released it like years later.
Yeah.
But I remember I gave my tape away, and then I bought the CD, and then I was like, wait. Like, for years, I was like,
bonus track.
Yeah, I was like, where the fuck is that song?
Well, I was
like,
about to say that was, again, nowadays, like an album comes out and there's like bonus tracks. Like, who gives a fuck? Like when you were younger, you placed real value in that. Your tape with a bonus track. Someone could hand you 5 copies of a CD. They could hand you the vinyl. They could, everything. Does it have the bonus track or no? Well, then keep your shit. I'll give you my tape.
Yeah. Get the Japanese import or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Japanese imports, they always had the best stuff because there was always at least like 2 or 3 extra songs on there, and they for some reason, like every so often you'd hear the song, and because you'd probably by that point worn the album out entirely, that song always sounded best.
Yeah.
So. What are you doing to keep yourself busy in the downtime? Because you just before this lockdown happened, or just before you guys did the album, you opened up your own studio as well, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a modest thing. It's like out of my house, I mean, I do mostly mixing here.
Yeah,
I do tracking, but I don't do like a ton of it. It's mostly mixing, and then I don't do drums really. I mean, I have an electronic drum kit if people like that option. If you want to be like Sunlight Studios in the early '90s, and like, it's better drum sounds than then, but they were able to do it. So I'm actually like, I just finished mixing a band from the UK called Beyond Grace. I just finished their record. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys at all.
I am. The music doesn't immediately pop into my head, but I've heard the name enough times too that that it sounds familiar.
Cool. Yeah. So I just finished that record, and I don't know, started messing around with our own stuff again. I think it's going to be like sort of a little bit of downtime because not a bunch of people are recording and mixing right now, or trying to get, I don't know, I might get some more mix work if people are just putting out singles and stuff and tracking stuff at home, but not a lot of people like coming in right now. Everyone's like sequestered. So
yeah, I was thinking about this too. I wonder what the release lineup is going to look like next year, because I would imagine anybody who hasn't got an album coming out this year is probably writing an album as we speak.
right,
So I mean, because what else are you going to do? So,
right.
or anybody who is bringing out an album is like, well, I may as well just start writing again. I mean, have you've not done any writing?
I was going to start it. We had some songs that were left over from the last record that didn't make it and just needed lyrics. So yeah, I'm going to do that in the downtime. And then we were talking the other day, just like, hey, let's start writing riffs. Like, let's start like, working stuff out, but yeah, I mean, that's the plan, I guess, is to start writing. But yeah, like you said, it's like, I mean, there's bands that are not putting out music right now, and like, because of this whole situation, it's going to be backlogged, and like things are going to come out either like right at the end of the year, or just everything's going to come out like next year.
Yeah.
So from new stuff
year
and
in
just
January, like 50 albums a week.
Yeah.
And I have to say though, that's one of my favorite things. My favorite parts of the week is new music Friday. So I'll every single Friday morning, I'll wake up early, pour myself a cup of coffee, and I'll go through everything new that's out that week. And I'll start like, okay, I want to check out this band. I want to check out this band, check out this band. And when you have those days when it's like, 7, 8 albums that are great, it's like awesome, and I know this is going to be an interesting weekend. I suspect I'm going to have quite a few of those next year. But you had, I mean, I know there was obviously a big break between Obsolescence coming out and the new record, but you mentioned your age earlier, and I don't know if it's been the same for you, but I found, growing older, the biggest changes in my life and the biggest development for me personally in terms of the way that I saw the world, the way that I thought about things, and actually in some ways my taste in music too, was probably between the age of 25 and sort of 37, 38. How is your, if you look at Obsolescence versus the new record, and I agree with you that the new record is one of your best, how has your approach to writing music changed, and how have your personal tastes kind of evolved during that time?
As far as, I don't know, approach to writing music, it kind of changes like every record, Obsolescence was a tough one to write because our drummer didn't live anywhere near us at the time. And we had hoped to get together. We got together maybe like 2 or 3 times or something and jammed out ideas, but there wasn't a lot of time to really work out songs. So it was a lot of me trying to develop some of the jams that we had and like finishing them at home with a drum machine, and then like adding a bunch of other riffs and arranging them and stuff. So that was not ideal. And like, I really didn't like writing that way. I'm still proud of that record. I still think it's a great album, but this album, we had a drummer that was local, and I don't know, there's just a new enthusiasm too. I don't know if it's just because, people haven't been doing it as long, I guess, you know what I mean? Haven't had the wind taken out of their sails, and not to say he will at some point, but I think just having that like new energy in the band helped as well, but also being in the same room and being able to jam out ideas, because that, some of the coolest things come out of that, and just being able to like, I don't know, play off each other and just be like, oh, that's cool, but why don't you try and, do this, or, whatever, just and arranging things on the fly. That just, I think it came out better because of that. So,
yeah.
As far as what was the other part of like,
just your personal tastes, how have they evolved in the last, like, if you look at the gap between Obsolescence and the new record, how would you say your personal preferences and tastes and stuff have changed?
I probably listen to like tech stuff like way less. Like, it interests me like far less than I don't know. Yeah, it's like I'd rather listen to Carcass than whatever new like tech death thing is on. I mean, and no offense to bands that do that. I just for the most, I don't know. This is not my thing. I'd rather hear like hooks and catch stuff, and I'm not as much into hearing like. I mean, I can appreciate the technicality of it and stuff, but I've heard a lot of it, and I don't know. I don't need to hear more of it. I feel like, I don't know. It depends on the band, but like there are bands that are doing like the tech thing with still like a good sense of songwriting and stuff. But I don't know. I've changed. Like I've gone back and listened to things that like maybe I missed out on, because I think my entry point in metal was like Metallica or something. To me that was heavy metal. And then when I like thrash, and then I remember hearing like when I was a kid, like Iron Maiden or something after that. And to me, I was like, what the fuck? This is like rock and roll to me, like no offense. Like, Iron Maiden's fucking great.
I'm going to differ with you there. I'm not a fan of Iron Maiden. And I know I'm in the very smallest minority, but Iron Maiden has just never done it for me.
My appreciation has grown. Like, that's the thing. Like, with tastes have changed, and my appreciation for Iron Maiden has definitely, come up a lot. I went to go see them a couple months ago or something. They did a tour, and man, they fucking put on like the greatest show, dude. Like, they really do. I don't know how old those guys are. I mean, are they in their 60s now? I mean,
yeah, I think they'd probably be early 60s.
Yeah. Fucking amazing. More energy than like some bands in their 20s that, or a lot of their bands in your 20s that you see. And like, it's just great. Like, they still got it, man. It was great. But yeah. But like, I remember Judas Priest. I always used to be like more Judas Priest over Iron Maiden, because I always thought like that was more of like where thrash came from, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
One of my pivotal records when I was growing up was Painkiller. I remember hearing that the first time, and I grew up in quite a religious house. So, for the better part of my teen years, I still kind of wrestled with the questions about religion. You hear Painkiller the first time, and then I was absolutely terrified. You start like bargaining with the Lord, like, I know that it's probably wrong to listen to this, but it feels right. Right. And surely you wouldn't have given these guys the talents if they were, if you didn't want me to listen to it. And then you start listening to Slayer, and then you eventually get to Deicide, and say, well, fuck this. Now I'm just listening to whatever I want. Yeah. But no, Painkiller, without a doubt, that was my vibe. And I still love that record to this day.
Yeah, man, that one's great. I mean, but that's like more of their like thrash album, I was like their influence kind of like around stuff that bands that they influenced probably, around that time. Yeah. But it's great. It's a great album.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible. I mean, I completely agree with you. Because I've been to an Iron Maiden show, and it was very well done. There was always just with them, there was like a sense of menace that was just missing. Like, if I listened to Seven Gates of Hell by Venom, it's not the hardest song to play. It's not. I mean, it's like, if you think about it from a musical perspective, it's it's not going to go down in the annals of like clever songwriting. But there's just something about it that's so convincing and so just rips your face off. I was always just more attracted to that kind of thing. Like simpler was better for me. Like, so something like Venom, like, immediately got me. And of all the older bands, as I said, Judas Priest, and I really liked AC/DC, especially Bon Scott era AC/DC. There was just like a way that, like, especially Malcolm would like let a note ring out, and that always just, there was always like something sinister about it, And then actually other stuff that I really liked, like Merciful Fate, to me was just fucking amazing. Merciful Fate and King Diamond, that sort of stuff. I just, it did a lot more for me than Maiden. I saw King Diamond, actually. Speaking of people that are have been around for a couple of years and still do it well, I saw King Diamond about 4 or 5 years ago. Holy fuck! If you haven't seen him yet, dude, if you ever get a
chance, dude, I love King Diamond.
Oh, my
King
God.
Diamond is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago. Like whenever we started touring again,
Yeah.
we ended up. I remember there was we ended a tour and he was playing like on Halloween, I think, in LA, and we like booked it like so we could see King Diamond at the end of the the
Yeah.
tour. You know what I mean? Like, I got back and went, yeah, King Diamond is one of my favorites.
Did he do? Did they do Melissa with a big pentagram coming up in the back while he's singing?
Ah, man, I don't remember, but I just remember being really impressed with this stage show because I saw King Diamond before he he came back, and when he first left, I mean, I saw him in like a little club, and like the iron gates and stuff, but he didn't have like the whole stairs and like backdrop and all that shit. And then he came back and he was like everyone's like, oh fuck, that everyone's stoked, and there was a huge stage show and everything, and that was fucking awesome, man. Because I never seen him with like a huge show, but that I saw him with like Entombed at the Key Club or something in LA, like in the early 2000s, and I remember that was like one of the best shows I've ever been to because I was such big fans of both bands, and I'd never seen either of them before.
He was always one of those dudes as well. He can tour with basically just about any band, and he'll go over with their audience without a doubt.
Yeah, he can tour with death metal bands and
and invariably, the other bands would they would need to appeal to his audience because most of the time now, especially people would go to see him. But you guys are kind of like that too, because you've been on tour with 1349. You've been on tour with some bands that are quite sort of outside of your immediate wheelhouse, one could say. And how did you get over with the black metal crowds and with folks that aren't necessarily they wouldn't necessarily look to you guys as like a default option if they're going to fire up Spotify or whatever the case may be?
Honestly, it's always done just fine for us, and we've and it's usually like a mixed bill or something, like, the 1349 tour, Origin was on that too. So it was, but like we do just fine with their audience. I think a lot of we do fine. I think when we tour with like the brutal black metal bands, like a 1349 or Marduk, like we did that tour, and that was great too. So I think a lot of those fans are just brutal death metal fans, or black metal, but also just extreme music. Like I listen to those bands, and then or like Dark Funeral or Dissection or an Emperor and stuff like that. But then like a super like cult necro band or whatever, it's like we don't fit in with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll tell you who you guys would suit well. I'm just thinking. It just suddenly occurred to me now. Anal Nathrak.
Oh yeah,
like they sort of have the brutality from a black metal perspective, but I think there's kind of like, especially on the new record, there's like this real apocalyptic feel to your music, which I really love. And I think the two would pair together well. So if they bring out their new album in May, bear that in mind for next year for a co-headliner.
No, I like those. Yeah, I like them. Do they tour? They have played short. They played in LA before, I remember.
Yeah, no, they did tour. I mean, you'll lose your hearing watching them. It's the fucking loudest show I've ever been to in my life. But it's,
do they play with? Do they have a drummer live or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They had. I speak under correction on this. I think if memory, I've seen them 3 times. I think one time they had Nick Barker playing, which makes sense because he sounds like a drum machine. I can't remember who it was the other times, but what they did also have was this massive screen on the opposite wall of the venue that had all this crazy like World War and disease and famine and all this crazy shit going. It was quite an experience. They're fucking awesome live.
Nice.
They're really good live. But like I said, perfect fit for you guys. And then take out have Bloodbath as a third act on the bill, just for like the old school badass. So
that'd be cool, man.
I wanted to ask you one last question. I read, because I read a couple of interviews with you before we spoke, and I know, True to the Blind off the new record, you were talking about journalism and fake news and stuff like that. Did you see this insane fucking scandal that's come out with Chris Cuomo from CNN, where
No.
for like 3 weeks he's been filming these very melodramatic videos in his basement, and it's been beamed out on CNN. And he's like, I'm shivering and shaking. I'm in isolation. I've got coronavirus symptoms, blah, blah, blah. And then like a week and a half ago, Tim Pool on YouTube reported this thing where basically people had seen him at this property he's busy buying in the Hamptons with like all of his family, all great. It all like completely comes out like, complete matter of public record. And then literally like 2 days ago, on CNN, they ran this report where he comes walking up the stairs finally from the basement, and he's like, "This is the moment I've been waiting for, guys." He gives his family a hug. It's like a week and a half ago they saw you in the Hamptons, you stupid prick. It's like, this is the moment I've been waiting for, guys. I thought about that as soon as I read your comment about the erosion of journalism. I was like, fucking hell. There's no greater example of that than this Chris Cuomo incident. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about this the other day because I think it's more obvious now. Maybe it was always a thing, but now it just feels like everyone's so polarizing in their opinions that it's yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't like that. Yeah, everyone's kind of bringing their own like personal agendas into everything and not just fucking reporting the news, or you're like trying to make money, or they're trying to push some sort of agenda on you. Yeah. I don't know what the alternative to that is. It's like you don't want it to be some sort of like the news to be like a government owned thing. I don't think, you know what I mean? And you don't, but like a public utility or something. But it's also, it's hard when these places are like trying to get click throughs and stuff like that. And like, that's how, because again, like people don't buy newspapers anymore. Yeah. But again, like I say like an erosion of journalism, but it was always sort of a thing before too. Like whether it was like William Randolph Hearst, who like had bought up like all these newspapers and like would push things his way too. And I don't know, man, like, but it's been a problem for a long time, and more so these days.
Yeah. And I sometimes wonder if it's not more of a problem now because we're more aware of the problem. I mean, we were fed all kinds of bullshit in the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that, but the internet wasn't there. So there was never a counter argument or something to hold people to task when they lie or they fuck around. Like 5 years ago, not even 5 years ago, sorry, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Chris Cuomo could have pissed around in his mansion and done whatever he wanted, and then, ran back into the basement for his nightly update on his struggles with the coronavirus, and nobody would have been any the wiser. But now, there's always somebody with a smartphone, so there's always somebody to take video if they, if they see you doing anything. And I do sometimes wonder if it's not always been this way, but now we just have a means to at least kind of see through it, which then gets me back to your point. What is the alternative? Because I don't agree. I don't want to continually see this bickering and arguing and people pushing their own agendas and, doing these super cuts of things to suit their narrative. And then that leads me to the end result, which is you become like George Carlin. And, one of the last things he said in an interview was he's just a passenger. He doesn't give a fuck anymore. He's just watching it and laughing. Yeah. And I kind of look at it like that now. There's so many funny things that happen. The whole political landscape for the most part is a fucking comedy show. If you just know where to look.
Was it fucking Vince McMahon is part of our cabinet? Like, are you serious? Like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
seriously?
so Vince's wife was she was part of the Small Business Advisory Board.
Yeah. What?
But Ron DeSantis, he's the Florida governor, I think. He declared the WWE an
Oh yeah,
essential
yeah. It's an
service.
essential business. Yeah, of course.
I thought that
Ridiculous,
was
man.
fucking hysterical.
But it's so fun. Yeah, it's so weird. How like, a movie like Idiocracy came out like what, 10
yeah,
years more than it ago.
yeah.
Like it's meant to be like a parody, or it's like not prolific, like or prophetic or
I was just
whatever.
about to say it was meant to be a parody. It turned out to be prophecy.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking ridiculous, man. But yeah, again, like the George Carlin thing, that's kind of where I'm at too, man. Like
Yeah.
there was a point in my life, and I bless the young people that still care, or the younger people that still care. But after a point, you get tired of seeing like the same patterns emerge, and like being promised one thing, and like being like you rally behind like one person you think is gonna like change shit, and have them do the exact opposite, or keep things the same, and you get the wind taken out of your sails after a while, like of seeing this shit happen, and then you realize it's pretty much the goddamn same,
Yeah.
like it's not, no matter what asshole we put in charge, things don't really seem to change that much. They have definitely in like foreign policy, and like that's like definitely like changed, with the world. I mean, like with our president and stuff like that. But yeah, that's scary. Like everyone's becoming like these isolationists again, and like
Well, it's like over a year we had, obviously the UK have left the European Union, and it was, no borders, blah, blah, blah. And everyone was going on about how the European Union is wonderful. And then no sooner had the lockdowns began and Spain and Italy started asking for money, then Germany and France said, "Oh, we're not giving you any money." And then all the left-wing newspapers over here started publishing these articles against the European Union, like The Guardian, who is like the biggest shill for the European Union ever. The headline was, "The European Union is not a union."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, really, guys?" So 2 months ago, if I said that, I was a racist and a monster. But
yeah, see, I mean, I don't know like a ton about this,
Yeah.
but I mean, like, and I guess rather than like dissolving the union, from my like outsider's perspective, it seemed like the union was put there to make sure like shit like World War II didn't happen again, basically. And I'm sure it's strayed from that path and like been corrupted like every other goddamn thing in politics. But if they could get back to that like ideal, I guess, people getting like cooperating in some way.
The thing about it is, it was about cooperation. It was cooperation with a goal of economic growth. But the trouble is, there were countries that benefited from the economic growth mandate a lot more than other countries. And it was never going to be quite as brutally exposed as it has been recently. But it's just there's a guy I really like called George Friedman. He's a pretty ancient cat. He used to have a consultancy called Stratfor, and he now runs a geopolitical consultancy called Geopolitical Futures. And he's completely apolitical. He's just like, this is the data, this is the history, and this is what it tells you. But he made a very good point about the European Union once, and he just said, in the European Union, you've got four four sort of clusters, and they all have extremely different monetary challenges, demographic challenges, and challenges in terms of being able to sustain themselves, being self-sufficient, all of that sort of thing. He said, and because of those challenges, it's almost impossible in a globalist system to maintain a cohesive union there, because those countries are going to have radically opposing agendas and radically opposing needs and things like that, and you just it's very difficult to find a middle ground between all of them. And this is this is what you're seeing now. And the thing is, whether people are pro or against it, I understand why they would be pro European Union. No one who's watched a World War II documentary or World War I documentary ever wants to see that repeated again.
Right.
But again, it's like I said, you hit the nail on the head. It's every single thing that the government touches just becomes bureaucratized and fucked up. And that's the one thing I've never been able to understand about the socialists is, like, if you say that the government is inept and that they fuck everything up, then why is your answer more government? That doesn't make sense. But anyway, dude, I massively appreciate the time. I'm really psyched that you came on the show. I had a really fun conversation, and I hope I'll see you around in the UK at some point soon.
Me too, man.
Hopefully, it won't take a year or 2 years, but in the meantime, I wish you well, and I hope that the new album continues to do well for you guys. And like I said, it definitely feels like there's more hype around this than anything you guys have put out so far. So I hope that kind of carries on.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it, and thank you for having me. And hopefully, maybe we'll see you in December if everything goes okay. But we'll see.
I'll buy you a pint of lukewarm English beer when I see you.
Oh, give me a fucking cold glass.
All right, take care of yourself, dude. Bye bye.
Right, see ya. Your intentions, you from misinformation.
That was True to the Blind by Abysmal Dawn off their new record Phylogenesis, out now on Season of Mist. And thank you once again to Charles Elliott for coming on the show. Like I said, I had a great time talking to him, and appreciate that he was willing to dial in to the Zoom machine all the way from the mean streets of Los Angeles. Right, let's talk about some new music. And the first album I would like to discuss is The New Testament. It came out on April the 3rd. It is called Titans of Creation. I wanted to spend some time with this, or live with it for a while, as I've heard some of the audiophile reviewers in the hi-fi magazines and stuff that I read say. I wanted to live with it for a bit because it's an album I had unbelievably high expectations for. And there are certain things that I absolutely love about the record. There's certain things that I'm not a particularly big fan of. I'll explain that in a second, but the first thing that I want to say, just with regards to Testament, so that everybody knows my thoughts in case they have not heard me say this on previous episodes, you are going to have to make an unbelievably strong case to convince me that everything that Testament has done pretty much since the formation of Damnation in 2008 does not take a long, steamy piss on anything that the Big Four put out after 1990. I don't really care so much about the debate around the Big Four and, who should be in it and who shouldn't be. I know there's people that feel strongly that Testament should be part of it. It should be the Big Five and blah, blah. I mean, that doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer, those bands put out really seminal stuff in the 80s, and up to 1990. Music that was unbelievably influential, and Testament's first record was 1987. So you can't, if you're taking it purely from an influence perspective, you can't really put Testament into the same bracket as that. But what I would say is, Testament for me, the reason why I rate them so highly, and the reason I do sometimes compare them to the Big Four, is that unlike those four bands that I just mentioned, Testament continue, in my opinion, to put out consistently strong music to this day. I thought the album I mentioned, The Formation of Damnation, was excellent. I had really, really loved Dark Roots of Earth that came out in 2012. I thought Brotherhood of the Snake was very good as well. And, I just think it's cool that this band manages to retain not only a level of creative consistency, but they still sound really hungry. They still sound like they want to make this music. On Titans of Creation, however, I feel like that facade, well, I don't know if facade is the right word, but like that hunger is starting to wane a little bit. The album starts off unbelievably strongly. So, the second single they put out, "Children of the Next Level," is the song that kicks us off. So, many of you guys that maybe haven't heard the album, but follow Nuclear Blast's YouTube page or whatever, you would have heard the song. Great song to start the album off with. World War III is the second track, also good. Dream Deceiver, very, very good. And then the album kind of hits a very, very high peak and probably back-to-back two of the best songs that Testament have put out in 20 years. Night of the Witch and a track called City of Angels, which, in my opinion, City of Angels in particular, really, really plays to the band's strengths. I think it's some of the best vocal work that Chuck Billy has done, both in terms of the range that he exhibits, but also, his ability to put rhythm in his voice and phrase, and just it's just an absolute triumph on every level for him. But everybody else is fucking absolutely on top of their game too. So, Alex Skolnick's leads are great. Eric Peterson's riffs are awesome. The rhythm section is tight as fuck. And then straight after that song, the record kind of begins to tread a little bit of water. None of the songs are bad. So a track like Ishtar's Gate or False Prophet, none of them are bad, but none of them retain that same memorable quality that Night of the Witch and City of Angels had. It kind of feels like not necessarily filler, but just not songs you're really ever going to remember again. Deep cuts that most likely, if you're if you're listening to the album, unless and you're pressed for time, you'll probably quite happily skip past them. It does kind of pick back up again towards the end of the record. I think The Healers is a really great song, and the last proper track, Curse of Osiris, I really enjoy as well. But it's a shame that the album never ever again hits those peaks that it hits early on, because the rest of it by comparison is a little bit of an anticlimax. Now that being said, is this better than something like Repentless or Megadeth's Dystopia? Fuck yes. Is it better than pretty much any thrash metal I've heard this year or in the last 2-3 years? It's not better than the last Power Trip album, but it's better than pretty much everything else. I still think Testament are total badasses. I think the album is worth checking out. But if you're going to spend money on anything, maybe I wouldn't rush out to buy the album, and I would stream it on Qobuz or Spotify or Tidal. But either way, if you're a Testament fan, I can't see you being completely distraught about the album. And as I said, it does contain some of the best stuff they've done in decades. So I'm going to play the song that I was raving about earlier. So this is off Titans of Creation, City of Angels. that was City of Angels by Testament off their new record, Titans of Creation, available now on Nuclear Blast. Yeah, check it out. Let me know what you think. I just realized that I referred in the intro to this next band I want to discuss as Sinistral Kingdom. It's not Sinistral Kingdom, it's Sinistral King. I am, however, too lazy to go back and re-record the intro, so I'm not going to do that. But I am going to tell you that their new record, Serpent Uncoiling, is out now on Vendetta Records. And this was a really, really surprise finding, but a very pleasant surprise, I should say. It was one of those scenarios where you're fucking around on YouTube, and listening to music, checking out live clips, and then, next thing you know, there's a recommendation that comes out. And you see a devilish statue and an inverted cross on an album cover, and decide I will listen to this recommendation, which is exactly what I did. Sinistral King is a band that features guys from a couple of different bands that I like, including members of Unlight and Fredahammer. I spoke about Fredahammer's new record not too long ago. Whilst Sinistral King is definitely black metal, it certainly doesn't sound like Fredahammer. The best way to describe this would be kind of combining the bombacity of Septic Flesh with some of the rawer, grimmer Norwegian black metal of maybe Latter Day Mayhem and bands like that. Obviously the guys in the band have been around for a while, but they certainly do this style of music, incredible justice. I think the production of the album helps because there's a lot going on, but the way that it's produced and the way the mix is done allows all the instruments to breathe. The songs are generally very long, but they're never boring. I wouldn't call them progressive, but there's a lot going on, and they kind of move from one groove to the next, or one kind of atmospheric bit to a blasting bit with ease. It doesn't sound like anything is kind of pasted together. And generally speaking, as I said, if you like black metal, if you like bands like Septic Flesh, if you like the kind of orchestral side of things, that real sort of bombastic, epic sound of Septic Flesh, and you like, grinding, grim, gnarly black metal, then Sinistral King do a fucking fantastic job of combining the two together. Like I said, the album is available on Vendetta Records. Definitely go and check it out. This is the title track and the first song off the album. This is Serpent Uncoiling. That was Serpent Uncoiling by Sinistral King off the album of the same name. And like I said, that album is now available on Vendetta Records. Definitely check it out. It is highly recommended. Right, let's read some news. And I'm going to just pull my news screen up into view properly. I don't know what the fuck it was, but today when I was doing my or getting set up to record the show, for some moronic reason, couldn't seem to get the placement of my face right. I don't know if something has changed with OBS Studio or what it is, but yeah, you're gonna have to make do with a tiny ass window. But yeah, let's get this shit going. So we turn to one of my favorites, Metal Storm. And let's see what is the latest news. So I'm just going to skip to anything that catches my attention. Lock Up, welcome new drummer Adam Jarvis. This was good news. So Adam Jarvis is formerly of Misery Chord and Pig Destroyer. I don't know whether he's still in Pig Destroyer. I hope he is, because I hope nothing has gone amiss with Pig Destroyer. But anyway, so he's just joined Lockup, and Shane Embry comments, "We are extremely thrilled to welcome Adam into the ranks of Lockup. I've known Adam for a few years, and we just recently finished a European tour together. A super nice guy and a killer skin beater. Lockup has always been a roller coaster of a ride since its inception way back in 1998, but Adam joining us now in these chaotic times, I believe is surely going to refuel the seasoned grind machine. Play fast or die. I fucking love Lockup. I love every single one of the albums that they've put out, and I am really, really excited to hear what they do next. So, Adam Jarvis, don't let me down. And, I've spoken to a couple of people about this, but one of the things that we can take away from this COVID-19 lockdown is the fact that a lot of our favorite bands are probably out writing new music as we speak. Because what else are they going to do? So I saw Telok the other day post a clip on his Instagram saying that he was writing new Mayhem music. Hopefully, he starts with a new Nadiga album very soon. I've just seen a lot of bands on their social media mentioning that they were writing new stuff. Speaking of new, Magnus Carlsen's Freefall. I've never heard. I don't know who the fuck Magnus Carlsen is. Magnus Carlsen's Freefall sounds like a concept band about skydiving gone awry. Let's see what else is on the news wire. Onslaught introduced new vocalist. I'm not gonna lie, I've never understood the deal with Onslaught and why people like them so much. In fairness, I'm not the world's biggest thrash fan, but I saw these guys. Jesus, this must be about 12, 13 years ago, opening for Obituary, and it was god awful. I don't know how to pronounce this band's name, Aristoire Lifsons, but the reason I mentioned them is they've just put out an EP, I believe, with Carpe Noctem on Van Records. Van Records are, if Season of Mist is my favorite record label, then Van Records are just nipping at their heels because they have been putting out some amazing music. And that split EP that I just mentioned with Carpe Noctem is a masterpiece. Like I said, I have no clue how to pronounce this band's name, but I'm just going to call them Aristoire Lifsons. And I would say to you, if you can figure out what I'm saying, do go and look them up, or just go to the Van Records YouTube page because most of the stuff they've posted on there is fucking superb. I would bet that album's going to be excellent as well because the track they contributed to that EP was an absolute fucking ripper. What else is there to talk about? Fuck, is everything so quiet at the moment? Vader Streaming Bones track as visualized. I've not listened to that new Vader album yet. I do know it came out on Friday. But I've not yet checked it out. Ultimas announce European headlining tour. By the way, I know I did mention that I was trying to line up David Vincent to come on the show. I was introduced to his publicist, sent multiple messages, heard nothing. So it looks like Big D is big timing me. Which is fair enough. Trying to see this else here worth looking at. Nah, nothing of interest. Let's move on to Blabbermouth. So the first headline is Neurosis's Steve Von Till announces new album and first book. I like Steve Von Till. I fucking love Neurosis. I'm not sure what the book will be about, but it might be interesting. Queen's Brian May doesn't think there will be a Bohemian Rhapsody single or sequel. I saw Bohemian Rhapsody on the plane back from where was I coming from? I think coming back from the States. Actually, no, it was coming back from South Africa when I was there last year, and I was really surprised by how good it was. I genuinely enjoyed it, and I thought that dude, I think it's Rami Malek, who was Freddie Mercury, was fucking amazing. I'm not necessarily the biggest Queen fan, but I just thought the movie was well done, and I thought he was really, really good as Freddie Mercury. Legendary Troubadour Club launches GoFundMe campaign. We're going to need all the help we can get. We would hope that the guys from Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses would step in and donate a bit of money there, because those guys. they, aside from the fact that they're all fucking stinking rich, I mean, the Troubadour was one of the first clubs to really give them a platform. So, Axel, Nikki, Fuckface, Tommy Lee, step up, open up your wallet. Tracy Guns and Michael Sweet's Sunbomb collaboration is black metal inspired. If they'd posted that on April 1st, I would have called it and said that's an April Fool's joke. But LA Guns, Tracy Guns, obviously he's from LA Guns. Michael Sweet is from Striper. I don't know how those dudes are going to be making black metal, but let's see. Megadeth bassist David Ellefson to a release cover of Post Malone's Over Now. Yawn. Tony Iommi is not opposed to playing more Black Sabbath shows. Controversial opinion. I have aired it before, but I'm going to air it again. I personally think that the Ronnie James Dio Black Sabbath is vastly superior to anything that they did with Oz, including the first albums. And I know some of you guys probably just switched off the show in anger, but that's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. It's not that I don't like those early albums. I do like them very much, and I, absolutely have respect for their place in the grand scheme of Metallian history. But at the same time, man, there's just something so special about those Dio albums, and it probably for me as much as anything else, because my journey was, discovering, whilst I was discovering a lot of metal bands, is when I discovered albums like Heaven and Hell and Dehumanizer. Dehumanizer, if you haven't listened to it recently, go check out a song called Too Late. It's a ballad, but firstly, it has some of Dio's best vocal work. And secondly, it's just so haunting and beautiful, and it is really, really aged well. I think that Dehumanizer record still sounds fucking fantastic. Dimmu Borgir guitarist Silenos, we've never been a heavily touring band. Which is good because don't like them live. I've seen them live twice. Both times I left inside of the first 3 or 4 songs. The first time I was very excited about it. The second time I got to go to the show for free, but I was just bored. Take a video tour of Tommy Lee's newly relisted Calabasas home. So you can take part of the 5.6 million and donate some of that to the Troubadour. Although I guess all of the lawsuits that he has to settle outside of the what gets posted in the press probably means that he's going to be broke soon, and that's why Motley Crue are desperate to do another reunion. I think that has pretty much brought us to the end of news for this week, because I don't think there's anything else worth talking about. So I am going to say goodbye. Next week's show is going to be a Lee Wallenschlager of Unblessed Divine and Malevolent Creation. And spoiler alert, we don't spend hours on end talking about Malevolent Creation and running them down. The point of getting Lee on in the first place was really to talk about, some of the memories that he took away from his experience with Malevolent Creation, some of the things that he learned just as far as tricks of the trade are concerned. I was interested to understand from his perspective what it was like playing with a band of that size, that level of influence, and also filling the shoes of Brett Hoffman, who's one of the legendary death metal frontmen. And that's kind of the angle that we took with the interview. So it was a lot of fun having him on, and we spoke at length as well about his new project, Unblessed Divine. I have actually heard a song off it, but unfortunately it's unmixed and they haven't finished the vocals yet, so it's not something I'm going to be able to play on the show. But either way, it was a fun conversation. I hope that you guys are back next week to check it out. In the meantime, I hope you all stay safe and well. Thank you very much again for your support. From the mean streets of Surbiton on the outskirts of London, I am wishing you all a fond farewell.